What is going on, good people? Man, we are back here in the backyard and it's time for a check-in on the low-mo fescue, and I will say it's looking pretty doggone good. Right now I am at 1.25 inches, and looking at it, there are some differences that I'm seeing and a couple of things I've observed throughout this first part of the season. So that's what we're going to talk about here in the video, and I want to go ahead and put the disclaimer out there right now. This is not for everybody. I'm not recommending that everybody needs to go out there and cut their tall fescue at 1.25 inches or down to 1 inch. So if you're the average homeowner out there, stick to what you're currently doing. If you're cutting around 2 3/4, around 3 inches with your Mountain View Seed cultivars, I suggest you continue to do that unless you're ready to make the move into the low-mo society, if you want to call it, and experience something a little different. I wanted to, for one, be able to prove it to everyone that it can be done. You can manage tall fescue down to this lower height of cut, and to also give myself a new challenge and for me to actually be able to manage some low cut turf. So I need to continue to keep learning. I need to continue to keep building my skill set. So that's one of the reasons I'm going to this lower height of cut. If you don't have a way of irrigating or watering your lawn on a consistent basis, I do not think this is for you. Right off the bat, if you don't have a way of consistently adding the moisture to your lawn, this probably isn't going to turn out too well for you in this situation. So the first thing is going to be the aesthetics or the appearance of it. I mean, that's what we all are here for. We all want to have a nice looking lawn. So let's go ahead and get that right off the bat. So from the positives of that, it gives you a really tight, really clean look, especially when you've got a live edge. And you come back and you put that crisp live edge on there after a good mow. It gives you a really crisp look. I also like the feel of it. At this lower height of cut, it gives you almost like that carpet type feeling, like you're walking on your own personal outdoor carpet. It has a really nice tight feel to it. So those are definitely some of the positives that come along with this new lower height of cut. So with this lower height of cut, it definitely is easier to walk through and make applications and mowing. I will say I am not a fan of mowing my 3-inch front lawn anymore. It actually takes some effort to kind of walk through it, to get the mower through it. Even though the mower is self-propelled, it does take more energy to get through that thicker grass. Walking through the backyard now is pretty easy, pretty seamless. Doesn't take a whole lot of effort, and that's one of the things that I really do like about this new lower height of cut back here that I'm experiencing. So with the good, you've got to have some negatives, right? It's some gives and takes to it. So one of the things right off the bat, you do lose some of the color. You do lose some of the deep and dark, rich green color that you get, just for the simple fact that there's less leaf blade there. Your stripes are a little less prominent. They last a little bit less than what they did before. Again, the science of how stripes are. Like, stripes are just the grass blade folding over. When you have less grass blade there, it folds over less and stands more upright. That's just the way that the physics of it works. So if you've got less leaf blade there, you have less of that effect. Actually on my live stream, someone commented that my lawn actually looked better when it was at a higher height of cut. From an appearance and look standpoint, I don't disagree with that comment. It was a deeper, darker green color, and my stripes were definitely more prominent back then, which can give you the appearance that it looks better, because those are a lot of the qualities that people are looking for. So another negative is you've kind of got to be on your management game on this. And the reason I say that is because you have less leaf blade there, so you can almost see all of your imperfections. They are magnified a lot more. Y'all know I have squirrel damage and stuff that happens in my back lawn. So they're back here digging it up, and those areas of where they dig and the divots become much more prominent than what they used to when there was at 3 inches. I'm pretty sure that still happened. It was just a lot less noticeable with more canopy above the ground, given that higher height of cut. Another thing going along with that is you do need to have a fairly level lawn without significant dips and humps and bumps in it, and that's also dependent on the mower that you're going to be using, but most of us will be using a rotary type mower, as I am still right now. I did do some leveling in the spring. I still have some additional leveling that I need to do in the fall to fix some areas where I still have some high and low spots that need to be addressed to give me that nice, even, clean cut across the lawn, and everything is actually the same height of cut. Now let's talk about the cultural practices and the management at this lower height of cut. Overall, I'll be honest, I haven't done very much that's going to be different than what I did when my lawn was at 3 inches. I was maintaining a high performance lawn back then, so a lot of my cultural practices really just carried over to be able to support this new lower height of cut. So let's start with water management. Water management was the #1 practice that I had a feeling was going to be really important, that I needed to dial in, and that's really where I've been focusing throughout this process. So I've been watering about 2 to 3 times per week. Not a whole lot of change from what I was doing previously, still adding about the same amount of water, but when we are experiencing those extreme heat and drought conditions, I have noticed that a lot of my localized hot spots will show up sooner, and I have identified some new hot spots that was not previously there. So I have been addressing those, coming out and making sure when I see them, go ahead and hit them with some water, get on them quickly. That way they do not progress into permanent turf damage. So water management for the most part has stayed pretty consistent, but just making sure you're addressing those hot spots as they come up. The next thing is going to be mowing. Mowing is one of those things that we all love to do, but we don't want to do it more than what we have to. So typically I cut 2 to 3 times per week anyway, even when I was at my 3-inch height of cut. That was pretty standard for me. And I have continued to do that. With the use of a PGR, you could definitely get away with being able to cut twice a week. And right now I am not under regulation, and I am cutting 2 to 3 depending on heat conditions. But right now the lawn is still growing vigorously. Not too fast, but it's got good healthy growth to it right now. So I'm in a good place. I will say moving from 2 times per week to 3 times per week, I did see an increase in turf quality. I'll say it was much tighter. It actually was much more dense, and it just had a better overall look to it. And it didn't tend to shoot up as much in between mows. For one, I didn't give it time. And I feel like it was trained at that lower height of cut, that the growth was more uniform across the lawn, and it actually had a better performance to it when I was doing the 3 cuts per week. So I did see a noticeable difference when going from only cutting twice a week to 3 times a week in the positive direction. The next thing from a cultural practice standpoint is disease pressure. I am experiencing some disease pressure right now. Nothing different than what I was experiencing at my 3-inch height of cut. Matter of fact, it's in the same area that I was experiencing it with my 3-inch height of cut last year. So I'm working to identify what that is. I think I got an identification down and a plan of approach. Stick around for another video on that, and I'll be explaining how I walk through the identification process and what I'm going to do to address it. From a nutrient management standpoint, I have done absolutely nothing different than what I was doing last year. Still spraying small amounts of AMS. As we go into the summer, I'll probably drop back off of that due to the salt index of AMS going into the summer. But I have been applying those small liquid applications. I got a couple of granular applications down right after we went through the seed head production phase, so to kind of re-energize it, as I was talking about in my previous videos. So from a nutrient management standpoint, I haven't changed anything. I've been managing it the exact same way as what I did with my higher height cut. So you all see all the shade cover that I've got back here in the back lawn. With that, shade tolerance is pretty important to me in being able to grow a healthy lawn. So one of the things that I am noticing with this lower height of cut, this is just an observation that I'm seeing here in my lawn, is that I'm seeing a little less shade tolerance than what I previously saw at the height of cut. I think there's a sweet spot in between having the proper, maybe reduced height of cut and having a height of cut that's too tall, like up towards that 4-inch range when you're dealing with shade. So I think right now I'm pushing the bounds and maybe a little below what that sweet spot is for the plant to perform at its best. Typically I have pretty good density in those really shady areas, a little longer, like out into maybe the July-ish time frame before I start to see thinning out of the canopy. But I'm already starting to see the canopy thin out in some of those really heavily dense shade areas, like over on the sides of my fence and my lawn. So overall, I'm enjoying this. This has been a new challenge for me. It's been something that I haven't done before. I'm learning a new skill set. I'm making observations. So again, I don't think this is for everybody. It does take some additional monitoring and some additional time of paying attention to your lawn. Not necessarily that you have to go take actions and make more applications or go mow more, but you have to pay attention to your lawn a little bit more to get ahead of those indicators when something is going downhill. So this is going to continue through the rest of the season. I'm going to stay at this height of cut. We're doing well right now. We're into summer, so we're going to be looking at some of the hottest temperatures that are going to be coming in July and August, and a lot of those get pretty hot and dry. So we'll see how the lawn performs then. I'll bring it to you. I'll let you know how everything is going, and we'll keep this thing going. So as I always say, just know we work.